In 1 Corinthians 1, verse 18 through 25, the Apostle Paul addresses the contrast between God's wisdom and human wisdom, especially regarding the message of the cross. To many people, the idea of the cross is seen as foolishness. This reaction stems from the cultural expectations of power, success, and strength. In the Greco-Roman world of Paul's time, a crucified Messiah was a radically challenging concept. People typically expected a savior who would come in power, delivering them from oppression, rather than a suffering figure who endured the shame of crucifixion. Paul argues that God intentionally chose what seems foolish to the world to reveal his divine wisdom. By presenting the message of the cross through preaching, God highlights that his ways are not the same as human ways. This foolishness becomes a means of confounding those who consider themselves wise. It challenges us to reconsider our definitions of success and significance, urging us to see that true strength often lies in vulnerability, humility, and sacrifice. In verse 25, Paul points out that the foolishness of God is wiser than man, and the weakness of God is stronger than man. This statement might seem paradoxical, but it emphasizes the idea that even God's foolishness surpasses the best human wisdom. God's plans and purposes operate on a level of wisdom that transcends human understanding. What might appear weak or foolish in the eyes of the world is, in reality, imbued with profound depth and significance. As Paul continues, he illustrates that God's choice to use the cross as the simple act of preaching reveals his intent. It brings God pleasure that something so seemingly inadequate can lead to such monumental outcomes, namely the salvation of many. This highlights a crucial truth. Our human perspectives can often misunderstand God's ways. Rather than relying solely on intellect or persuasive speech, the message centers around the transformative power of Christ's sacrifice. The cross signifies love, redemption, and hope, offering a new possibility for a relationship with God. It shifts the focus from human achievement to divine grace. This message is not for just those deemed wise or powerful. It is accessible to everyone, regardless of status or background. It reminds us that genuine faith often rises from accepting what the world deems foolish. Furthermore, the preaching of the gospel becomes a vital means through which individuals encounter this transformative message. While many may dismiss it as silly or irrelevant, it is precisely in this foolishness that God's power operates. The simplicity of the message allows even the least likely candidates to embrace faith and find hope. By embracing the cross and sharing its message, believers participate in the divine act of revealing God's wisdom to the world. The joy comes not only in the salvation experienced, but also in the deepening connection to God, whose ways remind us that he values humility and surrender over competition and pride. Ultimately, Paul's message encourages us to reconsider our notions of wisdom and strength. In revealing the cross as central to God's plan, we are invited into a journey where surrender leads to true empowerment. God's strength can be displayed beautifully through our perceived weakness. Embracing this truth can transform how we view ourselves and engage with those around us. The story of the cross is one of hope, love, and profound wisdom, a message worth sharing even if the world regards it as foolish. In doing so, we align ourselves with God's purpose, experiencing the joy of bringing the light of faith into places often clouded by doubt. Thus, as believers, our calling is to carry this message forward, trusting that what may seem foolish to the eyes of the world can change lives and draw people into the heart of God. Also, I find it silly when atheists say, couldn't an all-powerful God redeem us in a different way? And I always say, of course he could have, but he chose to do it this way. And I've heard other arguments saying, why would Jesus have to die such a horrible death? Again, that's just how God God chose to redeem us. It shows the great love and the extraordinary lengths God took to restore us back to Him, showing just how bad sin is in His eyes and how much He truly loves humanity. Remember, God is under no obligation to explain His ways to us. So instead of trying to figure out His ways, just be grateful that He died and made a way for salvation. Because for real, if it was up to me, I would not have died for anybody, but I'm so glad He did. Hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, and share in the comments what you liked the most. See you in the next video.